Good morning, guys. It's nice sitting out here. So, it has been a very busy week. This past week, I haven't filmed anything, but been working a lot on the inside of the Ohana. My wife helping as well, doing priming and painting and texturing. Got a lot done, and we'll go in and take a look at that in a minute. But this video is going to focus on getting the bathrooms finished up, which is going to be installing the toilets, installing the shower fixtures in the downstairs bathroom, and working on building the vanities. Hopefully I'll get all that done in this video. I'm not sure if I will or not, but we'll see. And then of course continuing with the priming and painting. So the Ohana is almost completely done. The kitchen is fully done as far as the painting. The bedroom is fully done as far as the painting. The bathrooms are fully done as far as the walls. The stairway is textured, and then the street facing wall in the living room is textured as well. So I still have to do the high areas. When you walk in, the two upper areas have to be textured and painted, and then the remaining part, other two walls of the living room. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get to work. All right, so straight into the updates. Let me just turn on all the stuff here. So, as you can see, the kitchen is fully done. All of the outlet covers are installed. The pendant lights for the breakfast bar are installed. And those are adjustable, so we're kind of just figuring out how we like. My wife kind of likes it, like this, with this one a little longer, so we'll see if that goes. Smoke detectors are installed. Fridge is in place. So, like I said, this is pretty much fully done in here. There will be a little bit of, I think this trim still needs to be painted along the bottom. But yeah, otherwise everything's done. All of the beams are painted now. So those are all done. Like I said, this whole wall is textured on the top, not on the bottom. The stairway, everything is textured, both sides, all the way up. And then I have a little bit of this wall is textured just where I was reaching around the corner here. And then on the outside of the window opening, I did a little bit around the edges there. But the rest of the wall has to be textured still. Let's go take a look at the bathroom. I have this broom here because I sealed the tile last time I was in here. So the bathroom, like I said, is now fully done. I still need to seal the walls. I wanted to get the floor done first so that I was able to walk in here and then work on the other stuff. But the walls, as you can see, are fully painted. Everything looks nice. Outlet cover's installed. This switch cover, I gotta do there's a little hole there, so I gotta pull that off and patch this and then put it back on. Yeah. So, and then this area is all primed, the first coat of primer. These two walls, they are primed as well. These ones are gonna stay smooth because we might be doing something special there. We're working on it, but if that happens, I'll let you guys know. Let's go upstairs. So this wall is fully done and painted. Switch covers are on. but you can see all the texture on there. So I ended up getting if you see this texture, so I still will go over this with a sanding pad and do a quick kind of swipe over the whole thing just to take off any high points. I actually got a new roller. I'll show it when I get back downstairs, but it was at Home Depot. All right, you can see the sconces are installed. The beams are all painted. So that is the sconces on. I got the fan installed. Like I said, these beams are all painted as well. Fan is on a remote. So that's just for extra circulation here, because I initially wanted to put a ceiling fan in here, but it's so low it would have been, I think, problematic. So, and then of course this bathroom is done. I had it blocked off because I sealed the floor when I did the other one. But I think this bathroom was pretty close to being done anyway. I had all the baseboards and everything in. The only difference is this beam is painted now, which it wasn't painted before. So this will probably be the first one that I install the toilet in, just because it's closest to being done. So yeah. And then as you can see, this light is installed. These beams still have to be painted, of course. This is all stuff I'm gonna have to do because my wife is not comfortable on the high ladder. She doesn't even like standing on top of the short ladder. So this will be all me once it gets to that point. So yeah, that's the update. Lots of stuff done, closer to completion. By the end of this video, and then for the next video, I think we're probably going to be getting started on the flooring up here and the flooring in the kitchen. Oh, I bought the trim to do all the pocket doors. So the pocket doors are going to get installed most likely in this video. We won't have the inserts done, but I can still install the doors and then we can add the inserts later. And on the 2 bathroom pocket doors, on the inside panel of the door, it has one big panel. We're actually going to get mirrors custom made that will go into that panel. So there will be a full length mirror inside the bathrooms. And then the bedroom door will get a design on both sides of it. So, which is still yet to be determined. But you see the windows are all caulked. I think this trim piece still needs to be painted. My wife wants to do some kind of, I don't know, cover there. She doesn't like this window because this is technically like a bathroom window. But it was the only one that would fit in this space, so. And another thing too is the bed in here is gonna be tighter than I was thinking. So your walk space to come in is gonna be, the bed is gonna be just a few inches shy of where that outlet is. So the walking space is gonna be kind of narrow on both sides. But it's a tiny house. So same thing with that outlet. Pretty much where the back of the toilet is will be about where the bed is. So we'll see. I don't know. If I set it up and I don't like it, we may end up moving it over here. Something, I don't know. But this was set up with the intention of having, you know, the bed, the sconce lights, the outlets, everything like that, the window even. So we'll see when we get to that point. And I think we ordered a couch, but we'll see. All right, let's get to work. So just to show you guys that textured roller. So they sell this at Home Depot, and looks kind of like a loofah sponge or something. But anyway, that's the one that I switched over to, and it's a little bit more texture than what I was doing with the other roller initially, but I like how it turned out. So then, yeah, you just rinse it out and reuse it. Pretty nice though. All right, so I'm gonna get started on installing this toilet. This toilet we bought at Costco, and there's a couple of things about this toilet that I really like. It's a solid piece, meaning that the bowl is attached, so it's all one piece. The majority of toilets, the bowl is actually separate from the toilet base. And then there's a gasket that goes in there, and then there's 2 screws that you got to tighten down. Basically, it's just another spot for leaking, over time. And then also this one has the dual flush. So it has the small flush and the big flush for whichever purpose you need. But basically this thing comes with everything. So this larger box is actually the toilet seat, lid seat. This is the wax ring that comes in here. It comes with a connection, which I'm not going to use this one. I have one that is made with a shark bite connection so that it'll slip right onto my copper pipe. And then this is all the hardware for attaching it to the base. This is to connect to the, I believe this looks like a spare just to connect to the line, but that's already here. So I don't know, maybe they just give you that in case. And then these are the little caps that cover the screws down on the side there. So first thing first, get the wax ring installed, which means I need to pull up this tape and get this surface cleaned up. All right, so this is all the pieces you need for this. This is obviously for a new install, but if you're replacing a toilet, it would be very similar. You just remove the old toilet, you remove the old wax ring, and then you start with a new one. The toilet flanges that are installed nowadays, they have these slots in them. And if you're doing a new install, you want to install them so that the narrow part of the slot is on either side, if you're thinking about how your toilet's going to sit in here, right? Because these pieces that have this end on them, they actually fit inside here. And then they go, because you want them to catch, right? So that's what actually holds your toilet in place, okay? So these slide into these slots, and then the hardware that comes with it, you have these little pieces. These actually slide over, and you gotta kind of push them down. And basically those hold these in place once they're tight. And then once the toilet's on, you put the washer on, and then you put the nut on, and then those plastic caps will go over that. But I believe there's a piece, yeah. So in here, there's a piece that you put on, which is this round one. That goes under the washer, and then there's a little lip on here, and then that's what this cap actually clips onto. Now your wax ring comes all wrapped up. And you can get, they do have plastic or like rubber rings, or you could use the wax ring. They also come in different sizes. If you're redoing a bathroom and you added tile, let's say, you have to pay attention to where the toilet's sitting. So if you had a ring that was installed and you added tile and it raised it up, half an inch to an inch, whatever it was, you may need to get a special wax ring that is adjustable, so that you don't have a gap between the toilet and the toilet flange. But basically, it's going to be kind of hard to do one-handed. And come on, there we go. So this is, of course, very sticky. You see how it has a flange on here? So that basically just sits right in place, right like that. And then you will set the toilet down on top of this, lining up these screws with the holes on the base of the toilet. So let me get this prepped, and then we'll go to the next step. Now when you push it down, you should feel some resistance from the wax ring, and you want to just kind of settle the toilet into place. And that's how you know you got a good seal. All right, so now you can see the screws sticking through. I'm ready to install this hardware. With this piece, if you look at it close, if this will focus, you'll see how there's a lip. You don't want that lip to be down, you want that lip to be up. If you put it down, then this cap won't be able to snap onto it. So it'll go in place like that with the lip up. And then you do your washer, you do your nut. Tighten that down, and then this will clip on there. Now, before you tighten it down fully, you want to kind of eyeball the toilet. You can measure it if you want to, but you want to make sure that it's, you know, square to the wall. Right now, this looks like it's just a little off. So you want to get it basically lined up and then tighten it down. All right, so that is on. And one thing with these is you do not want to over tighten these. If you over tighten it too much, there is a chance that you could crack the toilet. You want it to be snug. And then this piece will just snap on. Usually easier than that. And then you just do both sides. Now there's some debate about sealing the bottom of this with silicone. Some people say don't do it because then you won't know if there's a leak. Whenever I do a toilet install, I always seal that. And typically you'll seal all the way around the sides, but a lot of times in the back it doesn't get sealed. So if that remains open, if there is a leak, you will still know there's a leak. So I guess that's up to personal choice. So let me get this finished the rest of the way, and then we'll work on getting the water line installed. All right, this is a very tight fit, but you see the connection there, and then the copper here. So this is my piece that I bought. It has a shark bite fitting here, and then that's the piece that goes to the toilet base or the bowl. So now you have to cut the copper, and for that you use this kind of a tool, which is fairly inexpensive. I think these are maybe 20 bucks depending on what size you get. And the way it works is you tighten it down on the copper. There's this little blade, and then you just spin it. You do like a full spin, tighten, you know, half turn, full spin, tighten, half turn. Keep doing that until it cuts through the copper. Now on this, you want to make sure that you do not cut it short. So you look at the depth of your shark bite fitting here, which this is probably a little over 1 inch. So you want to have that much space that's going to go inside the shark bite fitting, and then I would say give it at least a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch more. So that's how you want to cut this. So let me get this thing installed. Oh, and you want to make sure that your water is off and the pressure is drained. So there's no water yet installed into the Ohana. So right now these pipes are completely dry. They've never had water in them. So I'm okay to cut this, but yeah, that's one thing you want to make sure is to relieve the pressure in your lines. Otherwise you're gonna have a mess. And lastly, you want to make sure that this is clean. So if there's any paint or anything on there, sand it off. Don't forget your cover. And then the shark bite just pushes on. And you got to make sure that it's fully seated, which it is. And then the valve, if it's pointing at the hose, then it's on. If it's, you know, obviously 90 degrees out, then it's off. So for right now, I'm going to leave it off. And then once I get the other toilet installed, I have to go under the Ohana and connect the water. And lastly is putting the toilet seat cover on. So the way most of the new style toilet seats are that I've seen, they have this piece here. So this goes on your hole facing this way. And then the screw goes through, which is this screw, and then you have a washer and then the nut on the bottom. Once those are installed, this cover goes on. So that covers this piece. And then on the back of the toilet seat, there's two holes that have a lock in there. So you just snap those down onto these posts. If you can see, there's a little, like a ring there or a cutaway, that's where it locks onto. And then if you ever have to remove it, there's a button here you push, and then that will allow you to pull the seat off if you need to. So let me get this installed. All right, these are in and they're not tight. So as you can see, there's some flexibility here as far as the adjustment. So before you fully tighten them, you want to actually put the lid on, and then you want to get it in place to where it lines up, you know, in line with the toilet. It should match the bowl pretty much exactly or very close. And then once that's in place, reach under there and you fully tighten them up. Then you remove the lid and then you can add the covers. So let me get that done. And there you go, soft close lid. So this toilet is now done, except for the silicone around the bottom, but I will do that later. And there you go. Installing a toilet's pretty easy. I mean, really, you should be able to do it in about 15 minutes. So don't be intimidated by it. It's pretty easy to do. Mirror. That's the mirror for here. I have a mirror upstairs. What I'm going to do now is I'm getting ready to install the shower stuff. So the valve body there, this is for the auxiliary wand, shower wand, I guess, and then the main shower head. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff installed. And this is pretty basic. Basically, these pieces are put in there as a kind of like a marker. So when you're doing tile, you can see I grouted around here so that it's a tight fit. And then the pipe will screw into this spot. So this piece unscrews, and then this will keep water, you know, it actually has a rubber O-ring on here. So if there is water in there, the water won't come out. So I'm going to get all this stuff installed, and then I'm going to go under the house and hook up the water after this stuff is installed. So let me get to it. All right, shower head is installed. The important thing on this is to make sure that you use some Teflon tape, which is that white tape, and you basically wrap it around the threads, and then you know, screw in the pipe. And then there's a cover that goes on. This just slides back. The important thing about this is you don't want to over tighten it also. And then on the top, there is a rubber grommet in here, but I still do the Teflon tape anyway. And then this, I just pulled the cover off of this. There were two screws on either side. And then this is basically the valve body, and then this is the diverter valve. So this goes between the shower or the wand. If this ever has to be replaced, there's actually two screws in here, which you see in the back. So if you close those, that'll shut off the water so that you can pull this out and replace it if needed, which is a pretty cool function of it. And then one thing I just figured out is this is too far in. So now I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna fix this because this doesn't even touch the nipple in there. So, and the reason being, when I was doing it, I was thinking of this, and on here it doesn't really matter because you have this, you know, long pipe. And so I put this flush the same as that when I should have spaced it out to where the surface of the tile would have been. So now I'm gonna have to find a nipple that I can screw this to and then screw into there and hope that it doesn't stick out too far. So we'll see. Otherwise, this might just get a plug in it, but I'll figure it out. So this backing plate just slides on, and there's a rubber O-ring or grommet around here that holds it tight. This plate, don't really want to silicone this. You want it to be open in case you ever have to pull it off again. As you saw underneath, I grouted all the way around this valve body, and then I did the sealant on the tile as well. So it should be sealed. If any water should go in there, most of the water, if any goes behind, will just go right down and come out the bottom. These pieces install with a little set screw, and then there's a little rubber cap that covers, and then this one you can see I haven't put the rubber cap on yet. I got it in my hand still. So there's a set screw in there you use with a Allen wrench or a hex wrench, whatever you want to call it. This one has a little picture on it for shower or the wand, so whichever way this is pointing is what it's going to. So shower and then the wand. So this is all fully installed for now until I figure out that. All right, so I got the plumbing set up underneath the Ohana. So we'll set this down and then turn on the valve and water. So once you actually have the water turned on, you want to, make sure to double check your connections, make sure that there's no leaks. If you have a slow leak, usually on the bottom you want to do a drip loop, they call this, so it's actually lower than any of the points. So if there is a leak, drips will form here, and that's a good way for you to tell. So that is filling up. Toilet's filling up. Quick test of the shower. Uh-oh. Air in the lines. And the other thing too is this is on a hose from the house. So the water pressure here is not great. It's enough that it'll fill the toilets. But yeah, I'm not sure why this is not going. So that's just about done. Stops. Do a flush. All right, we're good. So I just had to wait until the toilet was done so they could build up enough pressure to get the water going. So the shower's working. Okay, all right, so I'm getting ready to hang this mirror. The way that I'm doing this, you can see on the back it has the little hangers. So what I did is I took my level and I laid it across the hangers and I drew a line in the middle, as you can see that. And then I measured from that line to the top center to get my height. And then I came in here, which might be hard to see because the light's on. And I measured down. It ended up being 9 inches. So I measured down 9 inches and about 1/4. So there's a little space between the light and this. Measured down, then that's my height. Then I took my level and I put it back on here and I measured the distance between the two hangers, which was 26 3/4, I think it was. So then I measured this with my center line. I measured 13 3/8 would have been half of 26 3/4. And then that's where I will put in my anchors and then hang this mirror. And it looks something like that. Chew. So huge milestone, obviously, getting water in here, running, flushing toilets. And then I looked at this and I realized that all I got to do is, this nipple is removable. So all I have to do is go and get a nipple that's just a little bit longer than this, and then it'll work out fine. But I'll have to run to town to do that, and that probably won't happen until tomorrow maybe. So, but then I'll get this on and get that all the way finished. All right, so moving right along, I'm onto the towel racks, and I'm gonna be putting 2 towel racks in here. They're both 24-inch towel racks. So basically what I did is I set my laser up, just sitting on the back of the toilet on a box. As you can see, this line isn't any particular height. It's just a reference. I kind of went, sort of by the bottom of the light switch. But normal height, I think, is probably around between 36 and 40 inches. somewhere around there. I don't think there's any set code or whatever. So this is the height I'm going to do mine at. And basically what I did was I measured the space between the light switch and the edge of the tile, came out to 59 inches. I divided that space in half, which came out to 29 and a half, I believe it was. And then I divided that in half, which was 14 3/4. And I got my middle point. And then from there, I measured 12 inches this way, 12 inches that way. And I did the same thing on both of these. And then I'll take my paper template that comes with the towel rack, and I'll basically line this line up with the laser, and then I'll line the marks up with my marks over there. And then I'll have my spot where I can punch holes right on those little X's. And then that's where I put my screws. So let me get moving. All right, first one down. Moving on to the next one. So basically all I did is, once the paper template was up, I took a screw and I poked a hole through here. And you can see the hole here. And there's one behind the tape. And then basically all you do is, I always use these anchors, the 2-part anchors. They hold like 75 pounds. I never really use hardware that comes with this stuff. These are so much better going into drywall. And then if you do hit a stud, all you do is just put the screw in. You don't use the plastic part. And you have these little brackets you put on. They have to be done the right way. It says up on it because there's a little part there. So there's a set screw in the bottom of these. You see the hole there? So that set screw goes behind this piece, and then that's what locks it in. So let me finish this. And of course, a hand towel rack. So I also have toilet paper holder, but that is going to end up being on the end of the vanity once I build the vanity. And then this is unfinished because when the vanity is built, we're going to continue this tile across the top of the vanity and then around the side. So there will be a new piece of the metal trim that will go across this whole thing. So that's why that's not done yet. And to show the upstairs bathroom, everything up here is done to toilet paper holder, hand towel, the mirror is installed. So this is completely done. I even have the silicone now. It's the next day, so silicone is around both toilets. This is basically ready for me to build the vanity. Yeah. And back downstairs, you can see I have the walls all primed now. So I'm going to continue with that. The next thing will be texture. So the way I've been doing it is I've been doing one coat of primer. I do the texture and then I do another coat of primer and then paint over that. So basically just trying to get this all ready for paint and then paint it, of course. So, but I think that I'm going to end this video because it's already at like 35 minutes or something. All right, guys. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. It was just a lot, I guess. I spent a lot of time showing how to install the toilet. So hopefully that's helpful to some people. As well as, you know, the additional stuff I did, the towel racks and mirrors and all that. I do have the shower door, which is, it's sitting right here against the wall, and then all the pieces are sitting in there as well. So I had the shower door was leaning against this wall before, so that'll be on the next video, is installing that shower door, and then start working on the trim for the pocket doors and to get the pocket doors installed. And then of course, starting to build the vanities. Yeah, I don't know. There's so much. There's so much to do. And I left that light on. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, and it's getting closer and closer. I'm getting excited. We are there. And, oh, one last thing that I did do. I'll show you guys real quick. Outside. So I got the string lights installed. So yeah, string lights out here for nighttime, you know. But anyways, as always, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video. Aloha.